I think you're really gonna like this wine. It's,
Oh, don't tell me. Let me guess. Sensitive breeding. Rich bouquet. Strong venosity. Well, it's a Burgundy. I'm just not sure whether it's a Pinot Noir or a Gamay.
That's really excellent. You astound me. It is, in fact, a Pinot Noir. How'd you guess it?
I know Cassini only makes 3 red wines. 2 Burgundies, Pinot Noir and a Gamay, and 1 Claret, Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, you served me the Cabernet Sauvignon the other day. It didn't taste like this. So I know that this has to be a Burgundy, and it's either a Pinot Noir or a Gamay.
You really are a sly one, Lieutenant.
Welcome back, Columbo fans. This is Steve.
And this is Sean, and welcome to episode 7 of the Columbo Confab podcast. Good evening, Steve. Would you like some wine?
I will. Actually, I don't normally drink alcohol for this one, but...
But you'll have some wine. How about...
I will have some wine. I actually have a bottle of very nice wine.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's... see if you're familiar with this particular brand. Banshee... I can't even pronounce it. Mordecai? Mordecai?
Welcome to Steve Tries to Pronounce Wine.
Yes, it fails horribly. So I'm not a wine drinker. But it's a very nice red wine. It's very dry.
Okay. I am actually not going to be drinking this time. I'm going to be freebasing instead. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we do the one where the murderer is a freebaser, I'll probably drink wine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
It's coming. It's needless to say, it's one of the 90s ones. So this episode, we're going to be talking about Any Old Port in the Storm, which is in the 3rd season of Columbo, 2nd episode. We have already done the 1st episode, Lovely But Lethal. And this is starring Donald Pleasance as a very pleasant wine connoisseur and vintner.
Adrian.
Adrian yes. Carcini. Okay, before we get into the merits of this piece, I just want to note that this has a number of strange coincidences in it. I just want to point out, did you know, okay, so we've done 7 episodes of this podcast so far. This is number 7. A high number of them involve bodies that have been found on a beach.
Yes, well, it's in California, so...
But there are plenty of other places for dead bodies to show up on the beach. And also, I noticed that there is a connection. There is something that's in every of the first 5 episodes of the podcast that we did. There is something that has shown up, and even the last episode, there is something that has shown up in this episode. For instance, we have a crime of passion. It is an unplanned murder. As you pointed out earlier when we did Strange Bedfellows, we have one brother murdering another brother.
Yeah.
And they use the same bicycle to get away.
It is the same bicycle because it's the same same thing they use to get away from...
Yeah, from the scene of the crime.
The crime scene.
Yeah, except I think Adrian's was a much nicer model, it looked like. I think...
but it was a bicycle that could fold in half and fit... I mean, the thing, though, about that particular episode, Strange Bedfellows, was that I just don't think... what was the guy? Graham McVeigh?
How do you remember that? Okay.
I don't know.
George Wendt, yeah.
But yeah, he was just too big. Let's be honest. The guy was sweating on scene when he was standing still. I can't imagine him riding a bicycle not on pavement, but, you know.
But
on loose soil. I mean, that cannot be easy.
But Adrian can pull it off because he's freaking Adrian. Yeah. We'll get more into him later. Also, we have a man named Carcini. Back in Murder and Self-Portrait, we had a man named Barcini. And remember,
Barcini. That was the composer.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the painter. The painter was Barcini.
Oh right.
And remember
yes.
Barcini Red? Well, in the opening moments of this, we have them talking about the lovely red tint of the wine. We have a scene in which we have a secretary trying to blackmail her employer. Last episode, Murder, Smoke, and Shadows, we had a similar conversation, albeit fake. Just all these strange little things that came up that I noticed.
Is it the same writer, maybe, for these
No.
episodes? I didn't look that up.
No, I did not look it up. But those are all different writers for those other episodes. I don't know. What do you think this is? Some serious podcast and I'm going to look up the writer? I know the director is Leo Penn, who happens to be the...
This isn't just another question podcast.
No. The director is Leo Penn. He's directed a bunch of television. Father of Sean Penn and the late Chris Penn.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, cool. So this is Donald Pleasance, and before we started recording, you were like, I really don't know who most of these people are. And I'm like, you don't know who Donald Pleasance is?
No. Well, I mean, now I know because we start talking about him.
People's heads are exploding. First of all, Donald Pleasance was in a lot of movies when he was younger. He was in The Great Escape. He was in one of the greatest horror movies of all time called Halloween. Surely you've seen Halloween.
No, I'm looking at his IMDb right now. So he's in The Great Escape.
Halloween
I never saw Halloween.
Well, that's probably his most famous role, which was
Escape from New York.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
he played the president in Escape from New York.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He has been in
City, too.
so many things. But I know him, of course, because I'm a big Agatha Christie fan. He played the judge in one of the worst remakes of And Then There Were None that ever
Little
existed.
Indians.
Yeah. Many things. And his secretary, whose name is escaping me at the moment, his secretary Karen, that actress, oh, what's her name? It's driving me crazy. She was in a very good horror movie called The Haunting. I'm guessing you've never seen that either.
No.
Okay. This was just... Have you ever seen the movie Gone with the Wind?
Yes.
Okay, so, do you remember in Gone with the Wind, she gets married several times. And the first guy that she marries is this, like, wimpy blonde guy, and he's like, will you marry me, Scarlett? And she just kind of says yes, like, as a, whatever, like, you're my fifth choice. And then he goes off to the war and he, like, dies of the flu. Well, that guy is in this as the assistant in the lab. He was in Gone with the Wind. He played Scarlett O'Hara's first husband. What's the
first beau?
Yeah? What's the damn name of the secretary? It's driving me crazy. I know it's Karen Fielding, but what's the actress's name? It's something that I know. I've had 3 sips of crystal wine, and it's completely.
Julia.
There we go. That's
Julia
it. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
And she's quite attractive too. I wonder how old was she? Do you think?
Oh man, I don't know. I have no idea. By the way, everybody in this episode is dead, with the exception of the dead guy.
Okay.
But I don't know why I'm obsessed with this. I always look this up on things up on IMDb, and I find out whether he's alive or dead, how old they were when they died. But even his ditzy little girlfriend that we meet, even she's dead, as well as her male friends, dead.
She's dead.
Yeah, she died at the age of...
I thought for sure all the younger cast would still be alive.
No, she died at a very young age, at like 52 or 53, as did the blonde guy in that scene. I'm sorry, I'm going on, and we're not really talking about the story. All right, so why don't you take it?
They're all dead, Sean. Everyone's dead. They're all dead. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, Adrian. So he owns a winery. I'm assuming I'm using the right term there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it starts off with him decanting. Well, no, he doesn't decant it yet, but he's sharing a wine. I forgot what kind of wine it was. Was it a port? It was a port. There we go. I don't even know what that means. What is a port wine, Sean? You're the
It probably was not a port, because a port is usually a very heavy, sweet dessert wine. It's almost a bad port would be really syrupy, and port is really yummy. It's extremely high in calories, and it's usually very expensive too. But
really,
if you see it in the store and you want to drop like $30 on something that tastes really good, that maybe you can't drink sit around and watch Netflix and drink a whole bottle of port because it's just too sweet. But it really does do well with dessert. So
I bet you a $30 bottle of wine would be completely underneath Adrian, because he's drinking $100 wines, and this is what year was this?
73.
This was 1973.
Yes.
Holy cow! $1,000 in 1973.
I know.
I wonder what that would be by today's standards.
I actually went to look that up, and I couldn't get it to work on my phone. I meant to do it. There is a website where you can do that, but it didn't work on my phone.
Okay.
I'll bet you that's probably like $50,000 now. $50,000 for a bottle.
You think that 1,073 is 50 now?
I'm willing to bet. But.
So when he's buying that wine at the auction for $5,000, wow!
And he's already spent $18,000, mind you. Mm-hmm. Now I know why the brother really had a point. You don't go around spending what totals $23,000 on bottles of wine. But anyway,
yeah. Well, they both had that problem. So yeah. So Adrian's in the middle of entertaining some wine snobs, and he goes to his office to go collect, I guess, a really rare wine that he wants to share, because he's going to be nominated for Man of the Year for Wine Snobs of America, and
by Roger Delgado.
What?
For those
where'd that come?
Roger Delgado, folks. For those that don't know Steve and I, our history, we host this podcast called The TARDIS Tavern, and there's a character from Doctor Who from the 70s called the Master, and one of these gentlemen bared a striking resemblance to the Master.
Oh,
yeah.
I got you. Okay, yeah. Kind of out of left field there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he goes into his office, and his brother Rick, his younger half brother, I should say, Rick, is there, and he's demanding money, or not demanding, but he's needing money to go and get married to a ditzy blonde,
to an Acapulco, as he says.
Acapulco. They all go to Acapulco every episode. It seems like every other episode I watch of Columbo, someone's going to Acapulco.
Does anybody go to Acapulco anymore?
I just don't hear that anymore.
Yeah, it's probably like a white trash kind of holiday. Oh, we're taking a carnival cruise to Acapulco.
Where is Acapulco?
I don't know. But he says it. We're getting married at the Casa Rosa in Acapulco. He says it like that, and manages to get $5,000 from Carstini before he tells them that he's selling the land.
That's smart. Probably best not to say before.
And
but yeah, that just infuriates Adrian. I mean,
I don't think
it doesn't look like he would have the ability to knock a athletic guy out. But
he hits him with something, but doesn't kill him. By the way, I know this is really a really popular episode, but I've got some problems with it. We're getting there in a second, but he goes in the other room. Turns out his secretary Karen suddenly shows up, and he says only a fanatic works on Sunday, which of course is
well, he picks that up from Rick.
Exactly,
because Rick says that
exactly, which is kind of funny, and then they name him Man of the Year. Now, what are you going to do when you knock a guy unconscious and you've got company right there in the other room? What can you do? What can you possibly do? While you bring him into your wine storage room and you tie him up and turn off the air conditioning. Now, Steve, tell me. Oh, and you go on vacation for a week and buy $18,000 worth of wine. Steve, tell me how this gentleman died.
That I don't know, and I actually have that in my notes. I don't quite understand. Yes, so it was 109 on a Tuesday, because that's the big clue for the whole thing. Columbo's trying to find the weather for last week. And Columbo says so it got up to 150 in that cellar. which is what ruined all the wine. Funny enough. So I don't know. He would have woken up.
He is not a weakling. I mean, he is a big, strong man. He could have undid his ropes.
Well, when he came back from his trip to New York, apparently he had knocked some stuff down.
He did?
Some of those, some of the baskets. I don't know why there were these weird-looking, large wicker baskets down there, but they were knocked over as if there was him maybe struggling.
It looked like the baskets were tied to the rope. Because there were 3 of them, and I don't know. But this guy basically woke up in this hot, dark place, not knowing where he was. He probably...
You think he could have climbed and pushed that door open?
Yeah!
Yeah, because even Columbo said, it's an easy door, just push it open. It's, no big deal. Yeah, I agree.
And did he... Okay, so he apparently suffocated. That was confirmed by the coroner. But... I just don't understand how. I mean, it's not like that room was sealed. Was it hot? Oh, hell, obviously. Is it... I mean, but he didn't... Okay, if it got up to 150 degrees in there... First of all, is that possible? That would...
Well, why did... Well, I want to know why did Adrian have some rope in there? What was that for?
Somebody...
Was that for him and Karen to play, like a role play, or what was going on?
When Just One More Thing podcast did this, they pointed that out too. It's like he had this planned all along. He just had it offside just in case that one day when he loses his temper and knocks Rick out. Yeah, I don't know why there's... And he does this really strange thing, and I don't know if this is in the script or if this is Donald Pleasance, but he picks up the rope from the shelf, and then he stands there for a moment and looks up at the ceiling, and I always thought that he was maybe thinking, first of all, he's thinking to himself how he's going to do this. And it looks like he's looking up to heaven as if to say, God, forgive me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Do you know the scene that I'm talking about? I always wondered why he did that. I
think so.
You think so?
I think I know what you're talking about, because he does a lot of... Pleasance does a lot of... it looks like he's thinking to himself scenes. Where he'll stop and pause. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but go on.
But, so it got up to 150 degrees in that room, which Carsini would not have anticipated. All he knows is that this guy's going to be tied up. How does he suffocate? I don't understand that at all. And I don't know. If you had a guy tied up in your closet and he was alive, would you go off on a trip for a week? I mean, he must have been a nervous wreck. Anyway, okay, that's.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have. Well, and another thing, I mean, he's surrounded by bottles of glass that he could make a sharp edge.
Yes.
And cut himself free with. He just had to knock a bottle over, and he had a knife.
Yes.
And he would slice his hands up, but.
Yes, I agree, and it's not like the guy didn't know where he was. I mean, it was probably dark in there, but after a while, he could have figured out that Adrian put me in the wine closet or the wine cellar, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, what a way to go! Think about it.
That's a really horrible way to go.
He suffered. I mean, he suffered in a 150-degree room. I mean, that would have been a slow, painful death, I would imagine.
Oh, he's not the only one in Columbo. Just wait. There's another one. There's another one like that. Whew. Anyway.
Well, Rick was going to sell... We didn't mention this. Rick was going to sell the land of the winery to the Marino brothers. We all hate the Marino brothers.
The Marino brothers! 69 cents a gallon!
It's a gallon.
and then he says the worst thing that he could possibly say to him. First, Adrian puts down his mother. And then... Rick says, "Oh, it's okay. I'm sure they'll let you lick the labels of their carbonated rosé." And that's like the last fucking straw. Okay, dude, you're gonna die now. And he loses his temper. He loses.
I tried a wine. I think I told you about this. It's from Barefoot. I think is the name of the label. And it's a white. It's a Chardonnay, but it's real bubbly. And I like it. I like the bubbles. I thought it was almost like it was carbonated. It was really good. So that would probably be something the Marino Brothers would have made.
Yeah, I can't imagine Adrian Carsini enjoying Barefoot wine or Yellowtail or, God forbid, Boone's Farm. Can I just bring up the three guys? I'm just going to call them the three wine men. These three guys that name him Man of the Year. These are some swinging fellas. Okay, first of all, they really know how to party on a plane. Did you catch that?
That is, I love. Yeah, why don't they have organs on American Airlines anymore?
and the three of them just sort of sitting around. And they're kind of. Was that a thing? Was there a lady that would come and play a little mini organ?
I don't know. In the 70s, yeah. It could have been.
And these guys...
And it looks so... And there was all this leg room, serving wine. Oh, I mean, they still do that, but...
Yeah. And Adrian looks... Adrian, of course, orders wine on the airplane. Like, dude, that's airplane wine.
It's toilet bowl wine.
Yeah, he looks
What'd you tell... Is that what it's called? You were in our other podcast you once... Funny of all the silly things I remember. I remember you telling me about jail wine or toilet.
Oh yeah,
toilet bowl wine.
They ferment it in a toilet bowl with a sock and some stuff in it. Yeah.
Well, at the end of this episode, that's exactly what Adrian's going to be drinking. So.
So he's going to be the guy in prison. He is going to be the guy that makes the toilet wine, and that is going to be his saving grace in prison. Yo, dog, I'm really thirsty. Yo, go to my boy Adrian. He's got that toilet wine.
So,
I'm sorry. Was that racist?
Probably. So one of my favorite lines at the very beginning is when Adrian is sharing this wine with a three wine snobs, and the guy says, "Well." He's talking about, we can only make a couple of crates of this a year. It's too price prohibited to sell or to make in bulk. And he says we don't want to sell it to a bunch of Texas bumpkins. Mm-hmm. The guy says, "But I'm from Texas."
Thank God it wasn't like, "Hey, I'm from Texas," and he didn't have like a cowboy hat with boots and all that. No. Yeah, but those guys, they are so swinging that later on, when Columbo goes to visit them in their office, they have a pool table in their office.
Snooker table. Yeah, I think it was a snooker table.
What do these guys do for a living? Are they just like... They're just wine... I don't know who these guys are, these three wine guys.
Well, I thought that when Columbo went to visit them... about midway in the episode, that they were their own winery. They were their own company.
I think that's likely, or maybe they were from three different companies or something like that.
But so of course the scene where Columbo needs to borrow a pencil. Every episode, we need to borrow a pencil.
But Steve, I've got a question. Did it rain last Tuesday? Excuse me, did it rain last Tuesday?
I have no idea.
Excuse me, did it rain last Tuesday? Excuse me!
I love it, yeah. So Columbo's in the bar, and I think that's when it comes to him. He's in the bar, he's watching the TV, and there's this guy sitting right next to him, annoying the hell out of Columbo. And when the first time I saw this, I thought this guy would be somehow important to the to maybe giving out a clue or something. Nope. Just an annoying individual.
Yep. And Columbo just wants to know if it's rained last Tuesday. Pause. Bartender Mike Lally. That's that guy that I told you to watch out for. He plays the bartender in that scene. I
don't know, who's he?
He's an older guy with white hair. He was also in the last one not the last one. Etude in Black. I told you he was a mechanic in that one. He's in even aside from Peter Falk, he's the one actor that's in the most Columbos. But in that scene in the bar, by the way, nice to know that like Columbo hangs out at bars and watches TV, which is what I'd rather be doing most days.
Get out of it. I don't do that.
He has to call the Weather Bureau because he can't look it up on his phone. Gosh. And he goes to the phone, and the phone on the wall, and he asks the guy sitting there, excuse me, do you know, did it rain last Tuesday? And the guy that playing that extra, that guy who's sitting there, plays it up for what it's worth, because after Columbo asks the question and Columbo starts talking on the phone, you see the guy stop and like look up like he's trying to remember, and he looks at the lady he's talking to. He's like, you can tell he's saying, do you remember if it rained last Tuesday? I don't know. Did it rain last Tuesday?
Wow, that's some superior acting.
Yeah, I know that.
Hey,
guy
so
was
there's
giving
another. There's an actor that I like that you're not. I don't think familiar with, because the last time I brought him up, which was the one.
I know who it is.
Oh, okay. Who you think I'm thinking about?
Punky Brewster's dad,
George Gaines.
Yes.
He plays the clerk at the Total Wine store.
The French clerk. It took me 30 years to develop my expertise.
Yeah, I've got 30 minutes.
How do you tell if mine is good? The price. I'm not doing a really good French accent, but...
So yeah, apparently George Gaines is in a few of these, I think.
Really?
This is the second one. Yeah. You don't remember George Gaines at all?
I remember he was in Etude in Black. He was like the lawyer or somebody on the board, and I remember he sees the mother-in-law.
I bet you, I know. I said Punky Brewster last time, but I think you'll remember him from Police Academy.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. He played the captain or whatever. Yeah, okay, yeah. He just died.
Commandant Lassard.
Huh? Wow. Wow. When was the last time you watched a Police Academy movie?
About 3 days ago. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Are you serious? It is?
Yeah, only the first one. The others aren't. It's just the first one.
Oh,
Which
man.
Is really
that's too bad. Mission to Moscow is like my I'm just kidding.
I think that was the last one.
It was. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it always comes up. When does Columbo suspect that Adrian Carsini is the murderer?
That's a good question, because that's I always like to try to figure out Columbo's thinking. When did he realize the person he's talking to is the killer? I don't know, Sean.
I think that he had an inkling before he even met him, because when he goes to tell the fiancée, who really should have won an Emmy for this, that Rick is dead, they immediately tell him that the two brothers didn't get along, and Adrian just basically took the business and ran it into a shoestring. Not to mention the fact that when Columbo shows up at the winery to talk to Adrian, the old Italian janitor tells him that Adrian insisted on keeping the place open, even though that wouldn't, I mean, all the hints are there. And I think what was the first clue? He figures that he is not. It's just, I think that Adrian just kind of acts a little bit suspicious. You can see when he's decanting the wine the first time he meets Columbo, and he's saying, "Well, I have to be happy that Rick lives such a happy life." Blah 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 blah. He's talking about his dead brother, and he's supposed to be sorry. He doesn't bother at all to pretend that he's sad. He just goes on decanting the wine, and there are a couple shots of Peter Falk looking at him that are actually very telling, where you know that Columbo is thinking, are you putting on what is this? Are you kidding? But he knew what the motive was as soon as he spoke to the friends of the dead guy, Yeah.
I think that was kind of, you're right. The pool party, that when he had to tell. Oh, by the way, I love the music at the pool party. Some of those people dancing. I thought I was a bad dancer. Jeez.
Yeah, they got to get together with that lady who played the organ on the plane. Maybe they would have a really good time. and then go hang out at the IHOP afterwards.
So, if we rewind a little bit back when the fiance is trying to report her fiance missing, she comes across Columbo. And is that the first time we see Columbo's office?
Yes, I think so. We see it
because I've never seen him in his office before.
We see it in the very next episode, I think. It's called Candidate for Crime. There are several scenes of him, like, in the police station. Mm-hmm. And this is the only one that I can recall where he's actually in an office. Mm-hmm. And ostensibly working late.
It was Sunday.
Yeah. I don't know. But... yeah, that was it. I tried to catch to see there was a chalkboard in there. I tried to see what was written on the chalkboard, but I couldn't. I couldn't make anything out.
What names to call the dog? That would have been funny. Or maybe it could have been stories I can fabricate about the wife I don't really have.
Oh, he told a big fabrication in this one about the wife, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, now he's making up kids now?
Yeah! Okay, yes. This is the only episode of Columbo in which he mentions having children.
No. There's another one.
I'm pretty sure this is it. I
thought there was one I watched where it was about football players with Robert Culp. I thought there was a...
Okay, yeah. He says, in that episode, oh, the wife gets upset because the ice cream man comes right before dinner and it's going to ruin the kids' appetites. But I thought he was talking about children in general, not necessarily their children. But that's a good point.
Well, they're not... but he doesn't even have kids, so let's be honest.
He definitely does not have kids. I mean, there are moments later on where he says we do not have any children. And he says it to disinterested parties like... and
that's
cops
why
and stuff.
I don't believe that he has a wife.
There is a Mrs. Columbo. He calls her on the phone.
He's talking to himself.
Okay, all right.
Call somebody on the phone and make you think somebody else is on the other side, but no.
You just wait, mister.
Okay.
You just wait. Everybody listening to this that has seen the entirety of the Columbo Uva is yelling at you right now, saying, "But you have to see the episode where blah 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 happens." And I'm not going to say what it is.
The Mrs. Columbo things with Kate McGrew, those don't count.
I'm not talking about that, my friend. That is not canon. That is not canon.
I agree with you. I've seen one episode.
Mrs. Columbo is to Columbo what K9 and Company is to Doctor Who.
So
I just made a Doctor Who reference. I'm sorry. I don't.
Another one. Yes, yeah. 2-in-1 episode. We're going to stop that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no! So everybody thinks when Columbo is taking a tour of the winery, it's like everybody thinks he's looking for a job. Even Carsini thinks he's looking for a job. I mean, there are times when Columbo shows up in other episodes where they think he's homeless.
Yeah.
What else do they think of? Like he just doesn't look like a police officer, I guess.
You think? Yeah.
Even police officers don't think he's a police officer, which I've noticed.
There is a really great line in there when he first goes there. He goes to speak to the secretary because he's looking for Adrian. And she says, "Well, I must have your name." And he said, "Well, now, why would you want my name when you've got such a nice name yourself?"
Why did he do that? That was so out of character.
Well, he was just being sweet. That's how. If you want, trust me. If you want something done,
sweet.
He's not flirting with her, but he's buttering her up so that she'll give him what he wants. I do that in my job. I deal with the law, and if I have to talk to a clerk or a court coordinator that works for a judge, and I need something done, you just act as sweet as pie, and they will give you whatever. And then she says, "Well," he goes, "Well, is he in mourning?" And she says, "No, he's in the lab." Hardy har.
I feel kind of sorry for the character Karen in this whole episode.
Oh, God, yes.
Loves Adrian, and Adrian doesn't, I don't think Adrian is attracted to women in general. or men. I think he's just, likes wine a lot.
Yeah.
But she really loves him, and I mean, she's willing to lie for him. And she gets so close. There's a point where they go on a date, kind of, and they get to talk to each other, and you can really tell she's finally happy. She's happy. She's finally having a intimate moment with Adrian, and of course, it just blows up towards the end. But so she's an Alan Ladd film buff. Who's Alan Ladd? Are you familiar?
Yes, I actually looked it up. I looked up that movie. It's a real movie. Alan Ladd was an old TV Western star, not TV, a film star. He did a lot of Westerns. He had a...
what's interesting? Oh, I'm sorry to stop you, but in the bar scene, you can hear a TV in the background, and it sounds like a Western.
Yes! You hear gunshots, and you sound...
Yeah, I wonder if that was an Alan Ladd movie.
I think that was probably stock sounds that you heard, but...
Okay, sorry.
So, Alan Ladd, his son, of course, was Alan Ladd Jr., and your favorite movie, Blade Runner, was produced by him, he had some part in it. He founded a company called the Ladd Company, which is a production company, and I know two of their films. They no longer exist, but two of their films. One was Blade Runner, and the other one was The Right Stuff. If you look, the beginning of Blade Runner where it's got the picture of the tree that it's sort of like a computer graphic. That's the logo.
Ladd, yeah.
The logo for the Ladd Company. Yeah, can we talk a little bit more about Adrian, just the character himself and his relationship with Columbo?
Sure.
Okay, I find it very curious that in a lot of these episodes, you have a murderer, and usually it's somebody like Robert Culp or Dick Van Dyke who gets really angry at Columbo and loses his temper. Okay, we see Adrian lose his temper twice in this episode. Once is when he kills Rick, or at least hits him on the head, and later on it's when he served the bad wine in the restaurant. He never loses his temper with Columbo. In fact, he loves Columbo. The guy's an unbearable snob.
He's a fellow Italian. So.
Yeah, he's an unbearable snob everywhere else. But when he's hanging out and talking with Columbo, he smiles, he laughs. They have these little one-on-one conversations. And this is another aspect of talking about other episodes that we've done. Their relationship is not unlike that of Columbo and Joe Devlin and the Conspirators. And you really get the impression that they really enjoy each other's company.
Well, and then, you bring that forward to the final scene.
Oh, yeah.
When Columbo catches him and he's driving him to the station, I guess, to be arrested officially, he has a bottle of wine to give him. This is going to be your last time to drink this kind of thing. And... and you get the feeling that Columbo really did enjoy talking with Cosini.
Yeah.
I mean, why else would he do that?
Yeah.
He was very, I would say, gentle. I mean, there's times where Columbo's lost his temper with the killer. But yeah, you never, I think Columbo admired him to a certain degree.
Yeah, absolutely. He really liked him as a person. I mean, compare that to last episode that we watched where he says, the only thing that gave me pleasure is arresting you for murder. Well, that would have given me pleasure too, but because usually the once the murderer is unmasked, it's just suddenly just sort of ends. But no, this one went on for a couple more minutes longer than it needed to, and it was really cemented that that relationship between the two of them, and that's really one of the things that I love about this show is that every single Columbo murderer is different. And the chemistry between the murderer and Columbo is always unique. It's when there is no chemistry that it kind of falls flat. There was no chemistry between Columbo and George Wendt. There was just a lot of bolstering, yelling, whatever. There's another one called The Greenhouse Jungle that I can't stand, starring Ray Milland, where there is absolutely no chemistry between Columbo and the murderer. Chemistry.
Is that the one with the nephew and the uncle?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, this was great. Like I almost wanted them to have a spin-off, the Carcini Columbo spin-off or something. Every week, Carcini would wear a different brightly colored tie. Did you see that tie that he had?
So, no, I wasn't really paying attention to his tie. I'll admit. So let's talk about the restaurant. Towards the end of the episode, where they go out to eat. Columbo has decided to close the case after what Karen told him.
Another restaurant scene, another Italian restaurant, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And so he takes him out to this fancy restaurant, and I knew off the bat that they set Columbo by the door for the waiters to come and go. And that's notoriously the worst place in the restaurant to sit. So it kind of cracked me up when Cassini came in and saw that and just threw. He was just outraged, and so he got them reseated. But wouldn't you have loved to have been involved in that meal? Because they're talking oysters and just, they've got a before dinner wine, a dinner wine, and an after dinner wine. My gosh, what a meal! I bet that would have been fantastic. And
I bet you Columbo could have expensed it too at the end of the day.
That's what I was thinking. I wrote that in my notes. I bet he expensed it all.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't have to pay for it. That's right, because Carcini got mad again and walked out.
No, he did. Then he comes back and hands a wad of cash to the maitre d'.
And did you recognize that maitre d'?
I did, but he's been in Columbo before.
Yeah, he was in.
Where else have I seen him?
He was. That's Vito Scotti, and he was in the Murderer Self-Portrait. He was the proprietor of the Italian. He will come up again and again and again. You gotta Vito Scotti, Mike Lally. You gotta watch out for these guys. They're all over the place. They're like ants. If Columbo was a piece of gum on the sidewalk, they would be ants. I tell you.
That's a really interesting analogy. Huh.
Yeah. So okay, there's another little detail.
But yeah, so I love the restaurant scene. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The restaurant scene is, and then after they leave, those two guys pick up the wine that they left behind and they go, which doesn't really translate well over a podcast. It sounds like something else. No. There's another thing I noticed, and I think this every time I've seen this episode, I think of this. After the autopsy results come back, and they learned that Rick didn't eat for 2 days or something like that before he died. He goes to talk to the fiancée, presumably in her apartment, and sitting right next to the fiancée is that mustache guy that we saw in the earlier scene. Yeah. Okay, so right. I think that
no. At the pool party, let's remind everyone, at the pool party, he's shirtless, but he has a cardigan wrapped around his neck.
And he's checking out the ladies dancing. He really needed to shave those nipples. He had really hairy nipples.
Oh, God, no.
I can hear people turn this off. Well, first it's the butt fucking, now it's the hairy nipples. I don't know much more of this I can take. But I think he was moving on to Rick's girl after Rick's not even cold in the grave there. And he's like, I'm going to get some blonde action here.
Yeah, he's thinking, I'm going to console her, wink, wink.
You know how you do. It happens.
Oh, yeah, look at that porn stash he was sporting. I mean,
and he had the butterfly collar that was, and the shirt that was unbuttoned with the necklace and the hair. He was. Yeah, I think my mom dated that guy actually. But anyway.
But yeah, he was going after the blonde, which I can't think of her name.
Yeah, it's I don't remember her name either. There was one really funny joke that I never noticed before.
What's that?
The part where he calls his wife, the lady at home that exists, the flesh and blood wife.
Go on.
He asks, by the way, do you remember when it was really hot last week and we went to a picnic, we had to go home, blah 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 blah. And he listens and he goes, yeah, okay, fine, I'll call the Weather Bureau. Just like with the rating last Tuesday, and everybody, just something like that. Yeah.
2 quarts of milk and a head of lettuce.
Okay, I got a question here. At that point, that Carcini brings Columbo into the wine storage room. It's technically not a wine cellar because it's not underground. We learn later on that while he was in there, Columbo stole a bottle of port. Okay?
Yep.
And presumably he plans to use it. He had the plan with the restaurant at that point, and he was going to use it for that far ahead in the game. Okay, I get the fact that maybe he thinks that Carcini killed his brother. But what put Columbo on to the notion that the body had been stored in the wine closet? And why would he, there was nothing for him to jump to that conclusion at that moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the only clue really is that his stomach was empty and he had starved for 2 days.
Mm-hmm. So I guess
that wouldn't have explained, like, he wasn't dehydrated. Now they would have said the body was dehydrated. How's that happen when you're in the ocean? I mean, that I don't know.
You're right. That would have been Yeah, I don't understand how. Yeah, that was a big leap in logic for me. That the minute that he was in that room, he figured out that the body was in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, well that's the big I guess plot hole there, because we don't know how the brother died. They don't really explain it. I really don't think how they set it up for his death to be in that wine room, whatever it was called, wine locker.
That's a good word, wine locker. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't get that.
We just don't know. Yeah, I find that hard to believe that how he died. Yeah.
Because if Carcini knew that it was going to be 109 degrees out, and the temperature in there would have gone up to 150, he wouldn't have turned the AC off. But
no, he wouldn't have ruined all his wine.
Yeah, but why would he assume? It just doesn't make any sense. That's a really big jump to make, to leave a guy tied up like that while you're off for a week. That really bothered me, and it's always bothered me, and I've always wanted someone to explain to me exactly, how it makes sense, and because this is like really highly regarded as one of the best Columbos of the old series, and I think that they're really focused more on Donald Pleasance and Peter Falk and their repartee, I should say, or whatever you want to call it, than the actual murder itself, because the end doesn't make any sense either. And the body, after being
why doesn't the end make sense?
Okay, so they go to the restaurant. Columbo has staged the whole thing by bringing the bottle of port, the spoiled port, to the sommelier, whatever, the wine steward. And so Carcini says, well, it's bad. It's been subjected to temperatures of 150 degrees or more.
Right.
And Columbo mentions this outside. He says, that one day when you were gone, it got up to 109 degrees. Carcini suddenly realizes that means that all his wine is spoiled. He drives Karen home. She tells him that she's going to marry him.
Yeah, she's blackmailing him. Yeah.
Oh, that poor woman. Like, first of all, she falls apart in the car on the way there, and basically reveals that she loves him, and he basically says, "Well, I don't know how to feel. You're just an employee. It's his only dick moment in the entire episode."
Yeah, he really kind of mistreated Karen.
Yeah, and then he reacts by going. He realizes that all the wine in his cellar is bad. So he gets rid of the wine the same way that I get rid of wine that I don't like, by bringing it out to the ocean and throwing it off a cliff. Why did he... Okay, so for Columbo to prove that he's the murderer, I just don't know what that... I don't... No. I don't understand the fact that Carcini wanted to destroy his wine. I'm missing something here. Why does... the fact that all of Carcini's wine was overheated, why does that make him the murderer?
I would have thought an easier way to do it, and it's probably not a very nice thing to do. But why couldn't? Because a lot of that wine probably no one would open. Why couldn't he just sell it back into the market?
Exactly.
Here's a $5,000 bottle of wine. No, you're never going to drink it. And if someone says, "Oh," they do open it and they say, "Oh, Cassini sold me a bad bottle of wine," Cassini said, "Dang, the bottle of wine's 100 years old. Who knows what the previous owners did? He could have easily, he could have made some of his money back. He would have still lost some, I imagine. But
they kind of established that he has a really bad temper too. So I think that he was maybe overreacting a little bit. I just don't know how that proves...
and being confronted by Karen, and
I don't know how that proves he's the murderer, though. I mean, what if, my air conditioning in there broke, and, it doesn't, the dots don't connect. And if somebody can explain this a little better, please email us at columboconfab@gmail.com, because does it gel with you? Does it make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he went overboard. I get that.
And by the way,
anyways,
he won't
so
be.
We go ahead and,
he won't be spending a lot of time in jail making toilet wine because, the evidence, it's what they call fruit of the poisonous tree. Columbo came to this conclusion by basically stealing a bottle of wine. He took it without a search warrant. You can't do that. That's a big bozo no-no. So, yeah, just saying. And he's done that before, I think. So
stealing something?
Yeah.
Well, and what if... So he didn't know about the weather at that point, right? So he didn't know the wine would have spoiled at that point in the story. So he just took a bottle of wine. If he knew for a fact, okay, it was the hottest day, because he told his wife right before he went down into the wine room, he said, like you pointed out, he was trying to get the weather from her, and she's like, "We'll call the weather bureau," and so he didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you know to take the wine at that point?
I know. I mean, he would have had to make the conclusion at that point that he kept his brother locked up in here.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, this is kind of like you look at it too closely. You enjoy it the first time you watch it, but if you examine it too closely, it really falls apart.
Yeah, we obviously decanted the wine. And, we decanted the episode, and or maybe we didn't decant it, and that's why we're seeing all this. But,
yeah.
Okay, so let's go and review it.
Okay, you go. Okay, you go. You go first. Okay. I went first last time.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna pick 1 out of 32.
Okay.
Because it's season 3, episode 2. 32.
Nice, very nice.
I'm going to give this, despite some of the flaws, which actually, they didn't really bother me when watching it. Just talking about it now, it kind of bothers me. But I really enjoyed the scenes between with Columbo and Adrian Carcini. I don't know if it's just if Columbo or Peter Falk, was friends with Donald Pleasance or not, but when Pleasance was on screen, he was such a fascinating villain.
Mm-hmm.
He was. He had a temper, but he was just. I don't know if he just stole every scene he was in. He was just an interesting guy.
Mm-hmm.
So it is one of my favorites that I've seen so far. So out of 32. Even despite some of the plot holes we've discussed, I'd give it like a 27.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well.
And yourself?
I'm not going to be like you and give it a 28 just to come up you, but no. I thoroughly thought this was a lot of fun. It is a really good, enjoyable watch. And at the end of it, I mean, I knew coming in that it was going to be a 2-hour episode or an hour and a half story time. There is no padding in this, unlike some of the other ones that we've watched. It's funny, out of 7 episodes, we've only watched one hour and 15 or hour and a half one.
Which one was that?
The first one, Lovely But Lethal. All the others have been 2 hours. It moves really quickly for a story in which people are just talking in rooms, basically. I thought the murder was a little bit dubious, as we explained. But I'll be darned, you know what? If Columbo just kind of turned the head away and kind of let Carcini go, would I be disappointed? Yeah, a little bit, because that would be very unlike Columbo. But this dude, he really could have gotten away, and society would have gone on as normal. He's not going to kill anybody else. He's not even going to kill his secretary that knows that he did it.
Yeah,
he wouldn't kill her. He would.
I don't know. I don't know about that. But
you think he would kill her?
If she would have threatened to blackmail him like he suspected, I think he would have.
Well, she wanted to marry him. She basically, and I think he just would have done it. It would have been. I don't think that he would have enjoyed killing her the way that he enjoyed killing his brother. I don't think he enjoyed the act of killing, but he even says, well, I confess, there's no remorse attached to it, because his brother was a fucking dick. You just really felt for the guy. And at the end, after he's caught, when Columbo gives him the wine in the car, they pull up to the winery and he says, I wonder what's going to happen to all this. Who's going to tend the grapes? Who's going to, do this and that? And then I felt really bad for him, but...
Yeah. What was his passion?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a 29. I think this is probably among my top 8, maybe my top 5 out of all the Columbos. This is also one of the very first ones that I saw, and it's also the one that people who don't like Columbo, or not don't like, but people who aren't rabid fans, this is sort of like the one that they remember. Because Donald Pleasance is just so damn good in it, and he's just
great.
Yeah, and what's really fun is that you've got somebody like Donald Pleasance. Well, not that Donald Pleasance has a career of playing assholes or anything, but this is what I love about Columbo. You've got Donald Pleasance playing this character, and then a few episodes later, we have Dick Van Dyke playing a complete fucking asshole. And he's
I gotta say, I've seen quite a few of the season 3s, and it seems to be one of the strongest, I think, seasons I've watched so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah,
I'm jumping around, but I've seen quite a few of 3. But yeah, so far I think this has most of the best episodes, or the most enjoyable episodes that I've seen.
Did you see the Johnny Cash one?
I saw it last night.
Really? Okay.
I just watched it. That was a good one too.
That one is kind of like this. Where, and who knew? If you said, Johnny Cash plays a Columbo murderer, like, Johnny Cash? What?
Right.
But no, he pulls it off just fine. It works.
Oh, no, Cash was wonderful.
Yeah.
He was a great villain.
But, yeah, this is really great. It's just written really well. I don't like the murder. I don't like the way it ended. But it really goes down smooth. It's just a little bit wobbly there at the end, and it's okay. It's very much, it's kind of what we said about the last thing that we reviewed for Murder, Smoke, and Shadows. It was really good until the end. So, yeah.
Very good. All right. So we ready to pick next episode?
Yeah. So, Steve, why don't you spin the Wiggin wheel of the 90s there?
Oh, God, I hate the 90s. All right.
Okay, there we go. Oh, it's spinning.
Sorry, I think I herniated myself on that.
I can't wait to see what it is. And,
no.
Okay, it is going to be Murder with Too Many Notes, starring Billy Connolly.
Get out!
Yeah,
really?
Billy Connolly as
another Irishman.
Yeah, I think he might be Scottish, but I'm not sure.
Oh no, he is. You're right.
As a murderous Hollywood composer. Oh, another music one. So that's what we're going to be watching next time. The second to last Columbo ever.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm going to look forward to that. I haven't seen that in a really long time.
I've never seen it.
You don't watch these 90 ones unless you have to.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I will go over it. I'll explain my reasoning next episode.
Okay. By the way, folks, before we let you go, I just want to say, if you haven't done so already, and I know that as we record this you haven't, Go onto iTunes, rate the podcast. You can say whatever you like. You can say these guys are dipshits. They know nothing about Columbo. You can say this is the most awesome thing ever. Somebody already wrote a review. Thank you for that, whoever it is. I still don't know who it is. But also you can find us on Facebook. Look for Columbo Confab. You can follow us on Twitter at Columbo Confab. Not very active on the social media there, but we're up to 14 followers from 12 from last week.
All right.
Yeah, and also send us email at columboconfab@gmail.com. Send us your feedback, and more than likely we will read it in the recording. It's like you are a special guest star on our podcast. We'll read it. Maybe we'll make fun of you. Maybe we'll agree. We probably won't make fun of you. We never do. And yeah. So with that, I've been Sean, and
This is Steve. Ciao.
Good night, everybody.